Okay, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Is this the reversal finally starting? I kind of think it is. I kind of think it is. If you are one of our followers, we've talked about how the market's been very narrow, meaning that the apparent strength is only a couple, very small number of names. In other words, the S&P 500 is 500 companies, hence the name. There's maybe 5 or 6 of them that are responsible for the recent market's move up. Obviously, NVDA, Apple, Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. Most of the stocks in the market have not been doing very well. There's a big divergence going on. So anyway, here's our SPY. And pretty interesting, we have this is what we call, could be a potential breakaway gap. Sellers were so aggressive that the price closed here and then opened down here. It didn't even trade in between in the after hours. So let's just, I guess, take a look at tech. Just trust me, most of the other sectors, like, they're either going down or sideways. This is kind of a big reversal here. This is the sector, but obviously everyone wants to look at NVIDIA, and there's some pretty negative action going on here. Remember, when we look at a pattern, okay, it's not about like, is it this pattern or is it that pattern? It's about like, what does this show us about supply and demand? Now, check this out, right? The blue team is in charge. Yesterday, it looked like it was going to be another up day. The opening yesterday was much higher than the close on Tuesday. But by the close, oh, I'm sorry, I got my days mixed up. All right, so yesterday's open was much higher than the close on Wednesday, and the close was lower than the open on Wednesday. This is your classic bearish engulfing pattern, or it's also called a outside reversal pattern. In the Eastern culture, where they use candlesticks, it's a bearish engulfing pattern because it engulfs all of the trading of the prior day. But who the hell cares what the name is? Let's just look at what this shows us. Blue team's in charge, blue team's in charge, blue team's in charge. Then all of a sudden, it's like the red team makes the goal line stand, and they push the price all the way back. And importantly, it goes lower than the prior day's open. Why is that important? Well, most volume trades on open and closes. So in the short term, there should be support or resistance. In this case, we'd be looking for support at recent closes and opens, because that's where most volume trades. So yesterday was a pretty ugly reversal. Now today we have what could be another classic pattern. This is what we could call the breakaway gap. All right. I mean, obviously no one knows for sure, and we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty confident that this is the beginning of a new downtrend. So the price closed here. The sellers were so aggressive that it didn't open till down here. A lot of times you get gaps. Well, you tend to get gaps at 2 different places. The beginning of a trend, here's what we would call a breakaway gap, and the end of a trend, here's what we call an exhaustion gap. There's an exhaustion gap, or a gap higher, shows really aggressive buying. Now, when does this happen? Well, the smart money, quote unquote, or not quote unquote, because there's a smart money, really aggressive buying at the beginning of trend. The not so smart money, or what they call the dumb money on the street, doesn't get aggressive till the end. They keep watching and watching. They're waiting for the price to come down so they can get in at a better price. Finally, it doesn't happen. They throw in the towel, and it's almost like a capitulation to the upside. People are so sick of watching it. They're so sick of hearing their friends talk about, oh, I made so much money on NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, I'm sick of watching this. I'm convinced it's going to keep going up. And those are usually the last people to the party. So anyway, the best traders let the market tell them what to do. This action here is pretty darn weak. Doesn't matter what the future of AI is, right? Most of my students here, or followers, are short-term traders, day traders, swing traders, and we just worry about fundamentals of the markets, not fundamentals like price to earnings ratio. But just think about this: if everyone who wants to take a position in NVIDIA does, what happens? It can't go any higher. The only way a market can go higher is if you have buyers outbidding each other. If everyone has a full position, it's not going any higher. Well, I'll just give you like a kind of a thought about my institutional trading days. Say the portfolio manager wanted to have a 5% position in NVIDIA. Okay, you go buy a 5% position in NVIDIA. If you're managing $1 billion, you take a $50 million position in NVIDIA. And that's it. That's your position. If it goes down, it's like, hey, I got a full position. I'm not going to buy anymore. The sales trader might call and be like, hey, I got this block of NVIDIA for sale. And it's like, sorry, man, we can't use it. We're full. We got a full position. All right. Anyway, that looks really weak. Apple, I don't even know what this is called, but it's some type of a reversal pattern. Again, the names don't matter. And not coincidentally, look at where it stopped, right on this blue line that I had in here. And I mean, I've had this line here for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And if you don't believe me, just go check out our videos. Why did we pause here? It's what I said before. A lot of times there is support or resistance, in this case, support. I mean, it's both. It depends which way the market is going at a level that had been important or, had been an open or a close before. So this day it closed here. This day it opened here. A lot of volume traded right around this, I guess, 207 and 208 level. So think about it. There's a lot of people who sold on the close here and on the open here who regret their decision. The price goes higher. And they're like, oh, if it ever gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back if I can get them for the same price I sold them at. So remorseful sellers placing buy orders has formed support at the level that was resistance and support before. Now, the next thing to consider is that Apple might be on the verge of like a pretty decent move lower here, pretty rapid move lower. Like we just discussed, one of the main things that forms support is remorseful sellers trying to buy shares back. When you blast through prices like this really quickly, you just don't get a lot of time to have like a big vested interest at various prices. You can even see it here. It blasts up, trade sideways for 4 days, and then you just blast right back through these levels going the other way. If a market moves really quickly or gaps through price levels one way, and then eventually consolidates and hangs out or whatever, and then reverses and gets back to those same price levels going in the opposite direction, there's a good chance it's going to move right back through them really quickly because there's just not a lot of vested interest in those levels. Like people follow this like wacky stuff like GAN theory, LA waves. I mean, come on. If you want to learn how to make money, supply and demand, but worry about the levels, worry about the trends, worry about the momentum. All right. So last up for our big three here, Microsoft. All right, so this guy's Microsoft is still holding, but if this starts to roll over, we're going to get into a pretty, meaningful move lower, which will probably be pretty rapid, and it'll probably be pretty tradable. Just to kind of summarize before I get going here, most of the market has been weak. The only thing that's really been propping the market up over the last, say, 2 or 3 weeks is the tech sector. The only thing that's been propping up the tech sector is 3 or 4 of the biggest names. These sectors are based on market cap. So if a company has a market capitalization of $100 million and another company has a market capitalization of 10 million, well, the one that has the 100 million, it's going to influence the index 10 times more than the other one. So the fact that these big guys have been going up, it kind of masks the underlying weakness that's been going on in the market. And if you're a stock market jobber, you know this, and you probably made some nice coin on NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting a lot of great emails. So thank you, everybody. But just remember, pride becomes before the fall. Every day is a new day. The market is smarter than everyone. So you might have had a good day, and that's awesome. But you got to be humble, even keeled, and hopefully we'll have another great day on Monday. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much.